love it.
Hello,
Got
everyone.
that.
Welcome back. And today I have my special friend from Singapore who is moving. Carolyn Street. Hello, darling. Hello.
Hello, my lovely,
We
gorgeous,
here.
amazing. She's just turned my state 180 degrees. This lady is amazing. She's a genius.
You
Yeah.
are. So, darling, good to see you again. Hope you survive Christmas, the New Year, more or less good.
Tell me about it.
What's your plan for this year? Let's start this way.
What's my plan for this year? Okay, let me give it to you. So yeah, we were talking a little bit about manifesting earlier on.
Yeah.
And I have done a vision board. However, I don't find any pictures that really resonate with what I want, what I really, really want. So my wish list, first on my wish list, number one, is my mobile therapy practice.
Yeah.
And it's therapy on wheels.
Okay.
Therapy on, yeah. So basically, honey, if you, for example, let's, just take us as an example, okay? So you are going to go and give a major presentation, and you're going to wow everybody and do a drum circle, and then everybody's going to be in this very intimate gathering, and you're like, okay, Carolyn, I'd just like to have some hypnotherapy to get into state. I'm just winging it, completely making it up. You would never need that because you're you.
No, yeah.
I know, right? So I would pick you up in a nice car with a nice driver, not a chauffeur, nothing like that, nobody with a cap, nothing like that, but privacy. And then I would pick you up on the way to the event, and we would do some hypnotherapy in the car just to get you ready for the event, just to get any doubts out of your mind, put you in a relaxed yet alert state so that you can be at your best, baby, and really relate to your audience, really have a great time yourself, do that thing that you do and really enjoy it. And then on the way back, do some because it's inevitable, right? Whenever you finish a performance or some kind of where you've put yourself out there, it's inevitable to feel like, oh my goodness me, I forgot that part of my speech, or oh my God, that joke didn't come across, whichever. The audience didn't respond the way you wanted them to. They might have responded in other ways. I would have been there during the event, and I can tell you what really worked and helped alleviate those doubts. First of all, that's one of my forte. The other one is also, when you, I insist on everyone, everybody who's been in my public speaking classes or training, I say to them, the first thing you do when you come off stage is you write down 3 things you're happy about with your presentation. Because, am I boring? Sorry.
No.
Because I am going somewhere, I swear. Because like they say, there are 3 versions to every speech. There's a version you plan, there's a version you delivered, there's a version the audience received. Now, I think that's nonsense, because not only is there the version you delivered, there's also the version that you thought you delivered, right? Yeah. Because of where your perspective, you're not in the audience. Yeah. Also, there are zig-million or infinitesimal numbers of people who are going to remember that speech or that presentation, many of whom might have been, they might have been preoccupied with where they parked. Did I park somewhere? Am I going to get a ticket? They might be hungry. They might just not be in the mood for you at that point in time. And you never know when that speech or when that presentation is going to land for them. Yeah. And it's a little bit like rapid transformational therapy. So we say that it can be instantaneous because it works in the moment. It can be retrospective. It can be also like something that lands in the future. You don't, or progressive. And a speech or a presentation is like that. So I can be there to hold your hand afterwards, to allay those doubts, make sure the 3 or 5 or 10 or million good things that you did, so that your next presentation is your best presentation. And we were moving on to manifesting. So that's my mobile business. I want to do that. And I also want to take people to, say, for example, they've got a medical appointment coming up, say, something simple like a cataract or something, where, I had my cataracts done. I went into it expecting to have no expectations whatsoever. During the surgery, I saw really fun squiggles and funny shapes chasing each other around my vision. I was totally entertained. It's weird. That was the right eye first. The left eye, I had like those slinky things, just going slinky, slinky, slinky. It was like some weird hippie television program, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Because I said to my mind, please entertain me during the surgery. Yeah.
Can I ask you, were you in full anesthetic or local anesthetic?
I beg your pardon?
Is it a local or full anesthetic? So are you completely knocked out, or are you just numb in your eye?
Oh, they just numbed the eye for the cataracts. Yeah, they just numbed the eye. Okay. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So you are awake basically. You are awake while
I was awake while they were doing it. Yeah. Well, I don't have qualms about needles anyway, which is lucky because I was pricked like all over the place recently when I was in the hospital. I don't have any qualms at all. Honey, come to me if you've got any needle issues or anything like that.
Oh my God, I'm traumatized. When I was a child, they had to my whole family chased me through the house and had to hold me down for me to get vaccination.
Well, well, no, there's better techniques than that, because you've got to make sure the person is okay with what the remedial purposes of the needles are.
Yeah.
Does that sound really profound?
Yeah.
So because I understand it's a diagnostic. I mean, I had some really horrible experiences this time, especially with them putting in the cannulas and stuff. They put one in here, and they didn't even use it for 4 days.
And then you're all bruised, can't you? You're usually all bruised.
Yeah. And then because there were no beds, and I'm not going to tell you the horror story of like the holding ward, not here anyway. It's sort of in my Facebook. The lady next to me went a bit crazy, went a bit off the rails, and went like that and bashed the cannula and really hurt me. But I was like, okay, pain, chill. So I'm quite good with pain. Yeah.
And why you think you're good with pain? What is it like you used to get pain, or you block it out, or how do you deal with pain?
No, I don't block it out. I make the pain. So I use access consciousness, which is amazing. The access consciousness phrases, some of my favorites are, what's good about this that I'm not getting? What's good about this pain that I'm not getting? And so I'm not a visual person. RTT, rapid transformational therapy. Oh my God. Is based on visualization, and I have aphantasia, which means I don't visualize in the way that other people do. At least I don't think so. I mean, nobody can know, right? You cannot in my brain kind of thing to measure it. So that's just something I've figured out over time. And so with me, it's a case of just knowing that it's working, So I say I'm good with pain because, not to brag here, but I had dental procedures done where they replaced fillings and that, and I didn't need what do you call it? I didn't need the numbing. I didn't need the what do you call it? Yeah. So for myself, it works.
Yeah, I had one my tooth done here, and I didn't take anesthetic, but never again. Because I was more scared of the needle than of the pain, but afterwards I'm like, never again, I take the anesthetic, never again.
Well, anytime you want to work on that, babe, I'm your girl. You know what I mean?
What else is on your vision board?
Yeah. So the vision board isn't really a vision board. It's more like a wish list, a list of what I want to happen. So the first one is the mobile therapy outfit, where I go and fetch people in the car, maybe take them to a surgical appointment and bring them back, so they've got someone who is responsible to accompany them, and then help them sort of in the car on the way back. And so it's all about them not having to go to a separate clinic or take time out, and find that mutually conducive scheduling with the therapist. Also, because I have ADHD, many of my clients I attract don't want to be in a therapist's chair feeling like they're on the spot. They want to meet in a cafe where that we can look around and feel like, you know, there's free conversation and it's great. It's like when you and I met, right? It was perfect because I was in that beautiful cafe and it was lovely garden and lovely dogs, you know, and that was such a great time, right?
Too short.
So
but,
short.
But I was really happy to meet you. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I was knackered. So yeah, so we're talking about those two things. That's the mobile therapy business I want to manifest. Then the other that I am manifesting because it's happening. I used GPT today, GPT. I was just playing with it. I said, please write me a business plan for my mobile therapy business. I did it. And sometimes it just pulls out a bunch of nonsense out of the hat. It's hilarious. It's very funny to play with. I'm not going to pay for it. I'm just making the most of my trial week kind of.
Yeah.
That's incidental. So yeah, so I was saying about when you go off on a tangent a bit like that, start talking about ChatGPT. Where did I get that from? That was just something that came to mind in conjunction with today. I got it to write that business plan for mine. So I'm asking the universe for it by doing these different actions to bring it about. And then the next one is a foot care business. A foot care because I've realized that I'm really, really good with cutting people's toenails.
Okay.
So I was looking up, my mom's diabetic, and she worked a lot in foot care when she was in the Ministry of Health and kidney patients. Okay, so she was really on top of that, and her own feet, she's diabetic. It gets a bit gross and gory, but you've got to check a diabetic's feet because they can injure their feet without themselves knowing about it. And if they don't cut their own toenails, then all sorts of disasters can happen. And so, put it this way, I checked my mom's feet like a month ago, and it was horrendous. There was a wound where it shouldn't have been, like, you know, sorry, this is really gross. I'm fine with grossness. And I treated it with antiseptic, and her go-to is peroxide. She loves hydrogen peroxide for wounds and stuff. And it healed within 4 days. I just made sure that there was no, because her feet are just like this. They're like, the toes are really, she's got a massive bunion and stuff. Yeah, so enough gory details. So that's my other business, is I want to go around cutting old people's and diabetics toenails, just because somebody needs to do that without it being a pedicure experience. It's not for vanity, it's not for cosmetic, and it's not a full-on podiatrist outfit, because they would assess your feet, your gait, and your the bone structure and all of that. I don't want to do that. I want to focus on the nails. I'm doing jujitsu for which the feet are a great place to start to treat somebody for their overall well-being. And we know about reflexology, it's a bit like that. Am I talking too much?
No.
And then yeah, and then finally, so the book 7 in our series of And Us books is going to be out soon, hopefully by the end of next week.
Well, what's the title?
Grief and Us.
Grief and Us, yeah, brilliant, yeah.
So the other thing I manifested, and I'm really happy about, is a wonderful virtual assistant who's based in India, but they are so good.
Sorry, what did you manifest?
A virtual assistant. So she's a real person that I talk to on Zoom like once or twice a week. And she's working on formatting the book, which is my major phobia and my major resistance. I don't talk about fears, right? I talk about resistances and that. And I asked the universe for a fantastic VA to replace my wonderful editor, Elle Edwards, who promised 5 books. She did 6. And number 7 is nearly on Amazon. We just had a setback today because, yeah, I mean, I'm going to start crying if I talk about that. So I won't. But yeah, so that's about manifesting a little bit. Is it?
And how can you, so you got like a wish board now? I might put it on Facebook one of those days, but I want to ask you, what's the difference between having a goal or having a dream? What's for you the difference?
I love that. So, you know, the cliche is a goal is a dream with a deadline.
Ah, okay.
That's the old cliche. But for me, that's way more than that. A dream is the impossible dream, you know, to live, da, 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 that lofty kind of, that song. For me, a goal has less sizzle they talk about. You know, they say, sell the sizzle, not the steak.
Yeah.
The dream has all the funky, wonderful bits. And when you make it a goal, you've got to talk about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You've got to have the business plan. You've got to have the sack. I'm going to do this, you know, in this amount of time. To me, I'm a lot more laissez-faire. Like for me, with my, okay, I'm going to jump to, what's that thing called now? Human design. My human design apparently is to, because I've got quad right, it's called quad right, yeah. So it means that I'm supposed to wait for things to come to me. I can ask, but I have to wait for them to come to me. And that's been very hard because, like, you know me, in messages, I love to respond immediately. I want to have that conversation now, get it out of my, while it's lively and fresh, has that sizzle. I don't want to wait for it till later because I won't have that zest for it. I'll lose my enthusiasm. Type 7 Enneagram. Yeah.
And do you think if you tell people your dreams or your goal, you actually manipulate the manifestation? So if you share your dream.
Oh, sweetheart, I love that question. Thank you so much. I love that question. And it all comes down to, who do you trust? I wrote about this in the first book, Anxiety and Us. You've got to be so careful about who you talk to.
Yeah.
And I had some really clever, you know, mnemonics for it at the time. I'm not clever anymore.
Yeah.
Just whatever, you know, a confidant, something like that. You've got to be really trusting with the person. Like with you, I know I can tell you anything under the sun and it's fine.
Yeah.
And I know it goes both ways. With some people though, like some people I really love and trust, love to hang out with, love to be with, I respect them 100%. I know that it might twist something I've said. And rather than when I say I'm excited about something, I'm happy about something, they'll go, oh, but da 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 da. And that is a trait of Singaporeans. So they will often say, I'm sorry to generalize, but I'm in the wrong country, clearly. So today I was with a Singaporean, and I was excited about my book. I was telling her about my books. She's given me a copy of her books. It's all about her miscarriages. I'm like, okay, that's, you know, really peppy and happy. Anyhow, I don't want to be bitchy, but and then she was like, I was talking about how the projects for the books fell in my lap. She actually had called me for brunch because she wanted to try to get me into her MLM program. I realized later, and I've already been there, done that. My best friend's in that MLM. I was telling you about her earlier, Audrey. You know, and I love her and support her, but I don't use products because of reasons I shared in a Facebook post. But yeah, back to manifestation. I believe Bob Proctor says if you can see it in here, if you can see it in here, you can hold it in here. For me, you know, it's all about the lightness and the fun of it. One of my favorite access consciousness tools or phrases is, can I have the money now, please? Can I have the money now, please? And if you ask the universe in a lighthearted way, I mean, the putting rules to it is defeating the object. Trying to, like I said in a post on gamifying, you try to ify anything, you're defeating the point. There's no more fun. You're putting it in a box. So if you say for fun, like, can I have the money now, please? Can I have the money now? It will show up.
Yeah.
Not with that. But most people would take the way I'm singing it and replicate that entirely. Except for you, like you would have your own tune, you'd have your own funky movements, you know. Yeah. But it is, can I have the money now, please? Can I have the taxi now, please? Can I have the whatever it is now?
Yeah.
You know. And now doesn't mean now in the universe, because the universe has its own time.
Yeah, time, exactly. And
time is now, you know, yeah.
Now
in this time and space kind of thing.
Now I think many people, including myself, we want to manifest and can we write our 30 affirmations during the life. I'm so happy and grateful now, Gag, my Gag is in my life. Okay?
Yeah.
Every day in the morning, because you say, oh, go in the morning when
baby.
you wake up, and go in the evening, and in the end of the day, I can Gag it. And I wonder, because you Gag it, keep it light-hearted, yeah? I wonder if it's really necessary to follow all these bullshit rules and write in the whole show.
Oh, for God's sake, the rules are what makes it. No.
Yeah, thank you.
You do you. You know, for many, many years, I thought I needed a life partner. I thought I did, because a life partner. A soulmate, life partner.
Yeah, life partner, okay, yeah.
Ja, stimmt.
Yeah.
And so I was single for, let me work it out, from 1996 until 2008.
Okay.
That is a good number of years.
12
years, you know, from until age 39, so minus 12.
Yeah.
And the way that previous relationship ended was, it was kind of long and drawn out, so, you know, whatever. In that time, I was praying to St. Anthony. I adore St. Anthony. I'm Catholic. I was deep in my heart. I'm a St. Anthony girl, you know. I went to his basilica. Yeah, get the garlic out right now. and yeah, and I went to his basilica and I wrote it all down on the thing and whatever else, and every birthday that would be my wish, and yada 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 and so on. And I wrote everything I wanted in my partner down on a piece of paper. I Reiki'd it. I put the Reiki symbols on it and the works, and I had it at my work table in the office. Somewhere you pass by, all of those rules, right? So it's supposed to be somewhere you pass by, but you're not going to be faced with it. So you've got to, you know, engage with it all the time. You've got to just be, it's got to be in your environment. That guy showed up. I'm married to him. He showed up in 2008. We met in person in 2009. We were married by the following May. We were married the following April, sorry.
Wow.
So, yeah. So he showed up, the guy with all those attributes on the list. Some of them are really specific, according to how his hand feels in my hand.
Okay.
So I manifested the person that was on that list. I forgot to put somebody who is, my cat just bit me, or swatted me, I don't know. I forgot to put somebody that is ambitious, somebody that is genuinely caring. I forgot to put somebody that is really, really partner material. I forgot that. It was all about the touchy-feely, romantic, lovey-dovey, which he is at times, when he on and off. So I'm being really blunt, and I'm, you know, sharing my heart here. But if you are going to do that list, make sure it is thorough. Covers every base, and that's hard to do, you know.
So how would you say, for example, if someone in business to manifest more clients, what approach would you do for that, for example?
I love that. I love that one. Yeah. Again, so I signed up for a really very, very heavy, high ticket coaching program, you know, in the spirit of that being what I wanted from the universe. Numerous courses. Okay, I chose the Marissa Peer RTT over other hypnotherapy courses. Because I love her hypnotherapy style. The other ones just make me feel stupid. The eye roll is the best thing for me, the only one that works. And because there was a marketing component. That component was all based on NLP, which I had done. So I've done so many things to attract clients and that, but I forgot to just open my heart, you know. So manifesting clients, manifesting people who buy the books is something that I haven't figured out the answer to yet. Either that or in his time, him being the universe, God, Mother Nature.
I think you need to be like with your partner, you need to be specific what client you want, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's very hard for me because like now I'm working with a lady I had great success with. That's blowing my trumpet, but I did. I mean, she came back to me because she's got postnatal depression with her third child, and we nailed it with the second kid. She's got doubts of the third one. There's other factors, you know, in play and so on. And this time she's less attentive to the recordings. I did compassion key with her because she needed to share and vent. And compassion key, which I hadn't done with the second, when the second child was there, when I was working with her, the second child, I didn't have compassion key. So this time she needs a lot of that compassion and love. And I'm so sorry you're feeling like this. You know, husband's going back to work soon. She feels like she won't be able to cope with the 3 kids when he's gone to work. I'm like, this is what was written in when you accepted to be the mom. Yeah. But somehow when the reality hits, a different ballgame. So yeah, I mean, I'm being a bit,
Mother is hard, isn't it?
Totally.
Now,
so,
at your end, it's now midnight.
Nearly,
right, roughly. And I'm always surprised. And you said it to do, you're very awake. You're always awake. I mean, sometimes I send you a message at 10 p.m. my time, right? Which is in the middle of the night, your time. And I'm like, oh, she's going to read it tomorrow, yeah? You know, something comes up, but next text her quick, right? And then you straight reply. I'm like, what the heck you doing? And you
this comes back. Sweetheart, this comes back, and I will finish after this, I promise. This comes back to the collective subconscious. So you and I are connected, baby. Every time there's a message from you, I wake up.
Do I wake you up? I mean, do you have the sound on your phone?
No. There's no ping. My phone is even off Wi-Fi and off data.
Oh, wow.
There's no way. There's no signal at all whatsoever. My phone is on silent at nighttime. Yeah. I switch off the Wi-Fi, switch off the data. But when I get a message from you, when I get a message from Jill, when I get a message from Jill doesn't message, she knows my time zone a bit more. Who else? Yeah, 10, 12 people. I will wake up within 5 minutes of getting, that's what I call the quantum. That's what I call the collective subconscious. There's some kind of a bond there whereby, for me, if I respond, you know, when I'm going to the toilet, for example, I'm going to the loo. It takes me a long time to get on my feet because of the condition I've got. And sending a message helps me to get back into my skin, whatever it is, and conscious enough to just make my trip to the toilet and be alert and awake. So it helps me a lot.
Oh, wow.
It's always, the timing is spot on every time.
Now you said also you have ADHD. Can you define that a bit more? What does it mean? How do you know you have ADHD? What the symptoms or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I laugh about it now. Okay, so I didn't know. You know, in the 1970s, I was born in 1970. There was no such thing as ADHD. I don't know what the heck they were calling it.
Yeah.
And they're calling it, I don't know, all kinds of things. And there certainly wasn't the support or the studies that there are now. And for me, that's a different ball game because every single mind is different and you can't possibly know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a bit rude about science, but hey, you can't prove, you can only disprove something, you can't prove something. So the short answer is I was diagnosed in December 2020. Because I'd gone to the heart specialist with these same conditions that I'm being treated for now, which have really escalated due to this, you know, congenital pulmonary hypertension. Hello. They finally take me seriously. 2020, they didn't take me seriously. The head of cardiology at the hospital sent me to the psychiatrist because he said, I mentioned ADHD in part of the conversation. He said, do you want me to get you checked out for ADHD? I said, sure. So that was his way of fobbing me off at the time. And the psychiatrist said, look, you know, I'm going to say that you've got ADHD and no D at the end, no disorder, because clearly I have been functioning my whole life. I was a lecturer for 20 years. I didn't flip out or kill anybody, you know, I just couldn't do the admin. So defining ADHD for me is different for everybody. Like anything systematic, anything that doesn't have dopamine, anything I'm not intrinsically interested in, is like a no-no. And
like
there's
a
always
shallow
time for it.
conversation or something.
Oh, please. Yes, shallow conversation. You nailed it. Hit the nail on the head. Today, somebody made a Facebook request. I don't understand people who make Facebook requests, friend requests, without looking at your Facebook.
Yeah.
To know what's going on with you. And then they still say, well, how are you? And I just posted about my friend dying. Thank you very much. Like, how are you? What's going on over there? What's the weather like? That kills me. There, next. And I know your take on it is to follow people. Don't do that. Yeah, listen, I talked a hind leg off a donkey. To me, the quantum is really picking up on the cues from what might not be what meets the eye, that kind of thing.
Beyond. The quantum is more beyond, like you said, what you can't really see, but it's more powerful, actually, like the other side of the matrix, per se.
The other side of the matrix, I find that very hard to come to wrap my head around, because I don't have that visual of a matrix that on the side of.
No, but you feel it. If you can have a visual, you must feel energy and stuff, no?
If there was dopamine attached to it, then
but what is your strength? So if you're not visual, are you hearing more, feeling more?
Very auditory. My ears play a huge part. That's why another reason. I really thank my grandmother, because she made me learn poems off by heart when I was a little kid. That made me very, very good at learning vocabulary. Everybody has their skill sets, deswegen. And so, but for some, there are other reasons why I wasn't so good at maths in secondary school as I was at primary school, different story. I'm very grateful to my grandmother for that. Now my cat is kissing me, for making me do that, because that trained my memory. And now I remember what my clients say to me. I don't have to write stuff down, unless there's particular, specific labels that I have to put into their recording and stuff like that. But in Jiu-Jitsu, we don't really look at labels. So it's it depends on what the session's for. So that's the advantage.
And so if I say, what is a quantum leap for you? What is a quantum? So I throw the word, it's two words. I throw two words to you, quantum leap.
Quantum leap, gosh. Okay, the first time I've heard I'm going to try and be brief, okay? See if I can do this in six sentences or less. This is the Singaporean sign for six sentences or less. Quantum leap, the first time I heard it was at T. Harv Ekker's program, Millionaire Mind. And he was talking about his quantum leap programs, okay, which involved a bunch of different programs, whereby, people were supposed to make their quantum leaps and so on. And those, unfortunately, he used that phrase because a lot of people spent all their money. They spent money that wasn't theirs on these programs that promised to put hairs on your chest, to make you a warrior and bulletproof, etc. Bulletproof's another thing. I'm kind of putting everything in one box, from different. It's not all T. Harv Eker. This is other trainers as well. My students in the Polytechnic where I worked at, they had been to this. There's a local T. Harv Eker type guy called Adam Koo. I don't mind dropping names. And this kid was completely messed up. And he knew. He'd said, he came to me for counseling because he had to undo the damage from that course. It's like, oh, I'm so amazing. I'm so brilliant. One size cannot fit all. So that's where I first heard the quantum leap, unfortunately, negative connotations. When we're talking about in the sense that you're talking about, it's really about becoming the next best version of yourself and doing that at your own pace, and in a pace which is at pace with the universe and your life around you, in a nutshell.
Very nice, yeah. And when you say becoming the better version, the next best version of yourself, what would trigger someone to become? I mean, you know, what rocket science that
Yeah.
someone needs
Yeah.
to work on themselves to change.
The only thing that comes to mind immediately, and I'm trusting my intuition here, is a client who came because he wanted to stop being unfaithful to his wife. And they drifted apart, so they'd be in bed over nighttime, you know, on their separate phones. He was hesitant to make a move to her. They had a lot of social pressure to have a baby, etc., but they just didn't get along as people. And he was having someone on the side. So the next version of himself was, we did work on with RTT and rapid transformational therapy and a little bit of NLP and Jin Shinjutsu and a lot of access. And miraculously, they had a child within a year, but became best friends again because he made that list of why he loved her in the first place. Nice, and consciously, he did this amazing exercise. Am I going off point? It's called the lies to truth exercise. The lies being, I don't get along with her anymore. The truth, you write down the lies, right? And then you put the truth underneath, and then you gradually get to erasing the lies one by one as the truths become true. So I love my wife, I get along with her, you know, we're committed. I no longer have to seek outside gratification, da 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 da. That was a really powerful one. And so that was the one that touched me the most, because a marriage, hey, you know, I had another gay couple, similar thing. They worked it all out. Sometimes they don't work it out because that's their job, but at least they've been through a process.
Yeah.
So an ADHD person would go off on tangents like this because we pick up on something just randomly pops in.
I want you to tell the audience, I really found that interesting about the ADHD when you said you already can feel the thought of someone thinking. You know, when you said to me at the beginning before we did the recording that when you hold the presentation, you already can feel what someone is thinking. How does that work?
Well, in a way, you just got to bear in mind that everybody in the audience is in a different state, right? In a different frame of mind when they've come to that presentation or to that event that you're at. And so someone with ADHD is going to be flexible and address every subgroup of the audience, every individual in the audience. You know who needs to be spoken to directly. You'll know who doesn't need to be spoken to directly because they just are not in that frame or state where they can be kind of confronted on a direct basis at the time. But you know, say something generic that will get the point across to them. And so that's the key thing, is to realize that your presentation is not just that one moment in time, it's forever now. Nice. And it can be, my students have said this, you know, they said, I didn't really appreciate your class at the time, but I just gave a presentation to 500, 700 colleagues. I don't get these messages every day, by the way. You know, they're like a few a year. And now I realize how true it was. And you've just got to hold that space and have confidence and say, you know, who knows, and allow the universe to bring those benefits to the audience. It's about them, it's not you. Yeah. So what I want to do is, like, after someone's given that presentation or a stressful event, to then be that kind of debrief and help them to make it even better for the next time. Brilliant.
Now, last question.
Yeah.
Thoughts create reality.
Oh gosh, if they did, I'd be screwed. Because my mind wanders, you know, and that's supposed to be. I've been reading up a bit about sleep, and so with this condition you don't sleep a lot because there's a lot of pain. Ow, stop it. She's being affectionate, but it hurt. Yeah, anyway, so you spend a lot of time realizing that your thoughts are wandering, and that's supposed to be the good thing about REM sleep, right? That your thoughts are allowed to wander, but we're not supposed to be conscious of them. So thoughts creating things, yes, we go through a lot of thought processes in the middle of the night, which are part of our brains just doing their work and cleaning out those memories and committing to long-term memory what we need to commit to long-term memory. But if those individual thoughts were to become things, we'd all be screwed because that's part of the process. So unless you affirm something as my thought, you know, Esther and Jerry Hicks and Abraham say, dwell on something for, don't ask me the number, I think it's 37 seconds.
Yeah.
And it'll come about. Right?
Yeah.
So these fleeting thoughts don't become things. But when you do put the energy and the attention to them, then by all means, of course, it's going to happen. And we spend so much time thinking negatively and what if. You know, in Access, it's interesting point of view. So you want to clear that out of your mind, make it neutral. Interesting point of view. That's an interesting point of view. And that, if you say that every time you have a thought, then your thoughts will be easy.
Nice.
As it goes.
Love it. Thank you so much, Caroline.
I think I went completely off tangent, but never mind.
No, you went. It was perfect. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you, honey. Love you lots.
I love you
Mama.
lots. Have a good weekend. Weekend of the week.
Chinese New Year, everybody. It's the year of the rabbit.
When is it now?
So the Eve is Friday. No, it's the 21st. It's Saturday. That's my sister's birthday. So we get a half day off on Chinese New Year Eve in Singapore because there's like the massive Chinese population. And then there's huge displays everywhere, and you get like the lion dances and dragon dances and everything. Nice. It's now coming back to life because after COVID.
Yeah.
So it's really lively and everything is great. And then there's this whole atmosphere of, you know, new beginnings and that the second new beginning of the year. Yeah, it's always exciting.
Get some pictures if you can, right?
Yeah, we'll do. Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Love you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.